All right, let's jump right in. We all want our home to be a total safe zone for our new baby, right? Of course we do. But what if the biggest dangers aren't the ones we see coming? In this explainer, we're going to break down the most common household risks that even the most careful and loving parents can sometimes miss.
And that's really the first thing to wrap your head around. It feels backward, doesn't it? We spend so much time worrying about the big, wide world, but the truth is, the real risks are usually hiding right inside our own four walls. So let's take a little tour of the house together and see if we can spot them.
And we're going to start in the one room that's designed just for the baby, the nursery. It's where they spend most of their time, a lot of it unsupervised while they're sleeping. We pour so much love into this room, but sometimes we accidentally pour in a few hidden dangers too.
Now this is a big one because it really pits what looks good against what is safe. You scroll through social media and you see these gorgeous nurseries just filled with fluffy pillows, cozy blankets, and a whole zoo of stuffed animals. It looks amazing. But the hard truth is, all those soft, squishy things are a major suffocation hazard. A baby just doesn't have the strength to move their head if their face gets pressed against something. The safest sleep space is actually kind of boring, but it's secure. A firm mattress, a sheet that fits really tight, and that's it, nothing else. A wearable blanket or a sleep sack is the perfect way to keep them warm without any of the risk.
And speaking of keeping them warm, it is so easy to overdo it. Overheating has been linked to a higher risk of SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, and it's because babies just can't regulate their own body temperature the way we can. So how do you know if they're too hot? Just look for these simple signs. Is their hair a little damp? Are their cheeks flushed? Are they sweating at all? If you see any of these, it's time to take off a layer. A really good rule of thumb is to dress them in just one more light layer than what you'd be comfortable wearing yourself.
I know, this one can be tough for pet lovers. Of course, your dog is family. Your cat would never hurt a fly. But this isn't about whether your pet is good or bad. It's just about animal instincts and the fact that they can be unpredictable. A gentle little paw swipe, a playful nip, or even just a well-meaning snuggle can accidentally block a baby's airway. So the only rule here is constant, direct supervision. Never leave a baby alone with a pet, not even for a second.
Okay, so we've covered that sleepy newborn phase. But then, it happens. They start moving. And it feels like overnight, a whole new universe of hazards just opens up. The living room that was perfectly safe yesterday is suddenly a minefield. This one is completely non-negotiable. It only takes a split second, a literal split second, for a baby who you thought couldn't even roll over to suddenly wiggle right off a high surface. You turn to grab the wipes, you glance down at your phone, and that's when it happens. The golden rule is simple. One of your hands must be physically on your baby at all times when they're on that changing table. If you absolutely have to turn away, you either take the baby with you or you put them in a safe spot on the floor.
It might seem like total overkill when you're looking at your tiny, immobile newborn, but this is one of those things where you have to think months ahead of the game. Babies become climbers in the blink of an eye. An unanchored dresser or bookshelf can be pulled over so easily, and the consequences can be tragic. So the key is to do it now. Secure all that heavy furniture to the wall, install the window guards, and tie up those blind cords long before you think you'll ever need to.
This is one of the most practical, brilliant tips you'll ever get. It's so easy to just assume a toy is safe, especially if it's a hand-me-down or a gift. But little buttons can come loose, small pieces can break off. So, forget trying to guess. Just use this test. Go grab an empty toilet paper roll. If any object or any piece of an object can fit through that cardboard tube, it's a choking hazard. Simple, effective, and it could literally save a life. Here is another one of those common myths we just have to bust. So many parents think that walkers and jumpers help a baby learn to move faster. But actually, the science shows they can do the opposite. They can cause bad falls, and they actually slow down the development of those core muscles a baby needs for crawling and walking properly. So, what's the best thing for building strength? Good old-fashioned floor time. Yep, just a playmat on the floor. It is the safest and, by far, the most effective way for them to learn. Okay, so you've done it. You anchored the furniture, you did the toilet paper roll test, the house is a fortress. But what happens the second you walk out the front door? What about that short trip to the grocery store? The dangers don't just stop at your doorstep. In fact, they can get a whole lot more serious.
And that brings us to our next section, safety on the go. The mistakes that happen out here can have some of the most severe consequences, so it is absolutely critical that we get this stuff right.
Just having a car seat isn't enough. It has to be used perfectly every single time. Here are the 3 most common mistakes. First, that chest clip. It belongs at armpit level, not down by their belly. Second, the straps have to be snug. The test is easy. If you can pinch a horizontal fold of the strap up by their collarbone, it is too loose. And third, you have to make sure the whole seat is installed at the right angle and doesn't wiggle around. If you have any doubt at all, most fire stations will check your installation for free. Please use that resource.
Let me be perfectly 100% clear about this, because this is one of the most dangerous mistakes anyone can make. This isn't a guideline, it's an absolute rule. Not for 30 seconds while you pay for gas. Not for 1 minute to run into the post office. There is no such thing as just a minute. That is safe. The risks are just way, way too high.
And here is exactly why. What does this number mean? A baby's body heats up 3 to 5 times faster than an adult's. A car basically turns into a greenhouse, and even on a cool, cloudy day, the temperature inside can shoot up to deadly levels in just minutes. It's terrifying, and that's why you always take them with you.
All right, let's wrap up our safety tour with the final part of the daily routine. This is a time that should be relaxing and fun, but it's also a time that requires our full, undivided attention, bath time.
A baby's skin is so much thinner and more sensitive than ours. Water that feels just fine to our hands can actually be hot enough to scald them. So don't use your hand to test the water temperature. Use the inside of your wrist or even your elbow where your skin is more sensitive. It should feel comfortably warm, never hot. It's such a simple little switch in your routine, but it prevents serious burns. And of course, never ever walk away while your baby is in the tub.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from the crib all the way to the car. But knowledge is only powerful if you actually do something with it. So this last question is for you. Thinking about everything we just talked about, what's one small change you can make today, right now? Maybe it's grabbing that toilet paper roll and checking the toy box. Maybe it's finally ordering those furniture anchors online. Or maybe it's just making a new family rule about phones during diaper changes. What's that one small, immediate thing you can do? Because that's the step that really, truly matters.